thank you all for being here, and thanks for having us. TrackMan's been a huge part of our work, and it's been something that has evolved as well from when we started. And I just kind of got it to see my distances pretty much, to now to see what it actually, can be such a great checkup for me on my golf swing. Where we use it is pretty much our first conversation when I call Darren if I'm struggling with something is, what are your numbers?
We would definitely use it from how we adjust his equipment. So that would be somewhat of a fitting tool. We also use it from a mechanical tool. Kevin's spoken about how we deal with what I would call the inside and the outside of the range. So the outside of the range is what the club is actually doing. So the club data is obviously very important for us. That's obviously influencing the ball. But my philosophy, and this is only my deal, is that to me the inside is going to really get a heavy bearing on what the outside of the range is doing, unless you make a compensation in the handle or the hands or the arms, and then unfortunately that does come at a price. And the price of that manipulation can be a spin rate issue or a face control issue, an angle of attack issue. It's just a manipulation. So one of the big things that we work very hard on is starting off with a posture and maintaining dynamic posture. And this area here where Kevin's glutes are would need to stay roughly against a certain wall, an imaginary wall. So we do a lot of work stabilizing that area with medicine balls and so on and so forth. If we consider that we would want to make sure that this doesn't come off the wall, because if it does and fires towards the ball now, we've got a very different look to the outside of the range that we would really want it to have. The handle's going to throw out because we've changed the distance that we've got away from the ball all of a sudden, and now the handle's going to return really high. And something that I've just noticed and worked on, whenever the handle is returning very high, the face is always going to have a lot of roll to save the ball. So when the handle's really low, let me just take the driver there a second. The lower the handle gets, the more the face can work this way, which is not only very stable, but it's also staying very square in relation to your arc based on where we're rotating. Whereas the higher the handle gets through the hitting area, the more the face is going to spin somewhat out of control. So when that handle's getting really high, that's a danger sign for us. And it means that I can't have Kev trying to manipulate the handle and trying to keep the handle low if the distance is being lost between the base of the axis of his spine, or the base of the axis of his swing, and then how he's moving dynamically and closing down that distance. So everything that we're doing is to make sure that he keeps his depth. So the depth of him, not so much the depth of the club. The depth of the club is going to react to the depth of him. So it doesn't make any sense for me to try and get the club working deeper for him if he's not. So I always talk about his depth, not the club's depth. And we've just backed that up. Whenever his depth is good, the numbers on the outside of the range are good. And I'd much rather him be controlling that with his posture, his dynamic posture, his quality of body movement and his sequence, rather than manipulating the handle.